Mahavan, welcome to episode 2 of Metropole Live. So, here we are, the end of week 3 of distance learning. Our first show last week, we spoke to Kev and Erin, who gave us insights into the starting process of distance learning and what was successful so far. And then on Sunday at 3:30, we had our live show, where 87 participants, parents from our community, joined us live on Zoom and asked the questions that they wanted answered, and moving forwards, built this episode. A lot of questions that came up focused around the foundation stage, lower key stage 1, year 1. So that's where really I wanted your questions answered through this session. So I've searched through the school and I found 2 special guests to answer these questions. My first special guest is Gemma Brown. She is head of foundation stage at Gemma's Metropole. And my second guest is Miss Hannah Knight. Miss Hannah Knight is one of our year 1 teachers. So I'm really excited to talk to both of them about how distance learning is developing and what's being done to support these children. Just before I meet my guests, I really want to talk about how important the early years are in school. The foundation stage is so important because it gives children a secure educational foundation for later learning. It's the building blocks of education. The goals covered that the foundation stage creates cover 6 main areas in children's development. So that's personal, social and emotional development, communication language, problem solving, reasoning, numeracy, knowledge and understanding of the world, physical development and creative development. These fundamental blocks are the pillars, they're the building blocks. That's where we need to start with education. It is paramount that children have these building blocks moving on their way through school. Also, foundation stage to year 1 is crossing over a curriculum, and it's very important to have that transitional link within the same school from the foundation stage up into year 1. If we look at other educational theory, John Hattie, Australian theorist, extremely influential within education. He did a very large study, thousands and thousands of children over 30 years. And this study showed what had the most impact on children's learning. It uses an effect size as well. I'll put a link at the end of this video so that you can go straight to some of those research proposals. But one thing that Hattie showed was things like feedback, visible learning, high quality teaching. These all had a positive effect on children. These were things that made children progress at an accelerated rate. Over 257 different types of learning. There was a couple of areas that actually had a regressive impact on children. It made their learning go back. One of these main things was taking children out of school, and moving schools was another one. But we can see that element of being detached from those key fundamental areas of learning, especially down the lower part of the school, has such an impact on children's learning and ability to learn. So that's where we need to go and speak to our first 2 special guests. My first guest, Miss Gemma Brown, is head of SS, so let's see if she's about. Hi, Gemma, are you there?
Hi, Alex.
Thank you for coming on. I know you're teaching and been helping out all day, but 5 minutes of your time to be on this episode would be amazing help. So, we'll go straight in. I've already talked a bit about how important the early years are. They're the fundamentals of education, building blocks for where everything starts. But how important is this provision that the children in FS are getting on distance learning at the moment?
Well, it's really important at the moment. It's probably one of the real parts of their day that's really routine and structured, and that actually offers a little bit of normality. Because these children are so used to sticking to routine and getting up and going to school, and obviously all that has changed. But seeing their teacher on a daily basis, checking in with them, seeing their friends, having story time, phonics, all that is keeping a little bit of normality for them. So it's really important that they're sticking to that routine. It's also a really crucial time of year for all the foundation stage children, really. The FS1 children have recently started phonics, and that builds when they get into FS2, so they build upon those skills, and we keep the structure exactly the same. And for the FS2s, currently they are gathering together all that phonetical knowledge that they've been learning throughout the whole year to build those sentences, because that is actually one of the expectations for the end of FS2 is for children to write independently simple sentences. So the teachers are trying to encourage that at the moment. for children to work on their own.
That's amazing. And yeah, I talked a bit about kind of the regressive nature of taking children out of school. We talked about Hattie's theories and how much impact that has, or negative impact that has. With transition from FS2 into year one, why is that so important?
Well, there are lots of skills that actually children are learning at the moment that they've got the opportunity to do. For example, the ICT skills, building on those particularly, moving into year one, where they're going to be using those iPads a little bit more independently. The children in FS2 at the moment are learning to manage change, and they're learning to adapt, and they're learning to do that in a place where they feel really comfortable with their parents. And that's a skill that actually they're going to be able to use when they move to year one. So they'll be able to gather all those skills and all that confidence of, things are going to be okay. I think what's really helped the children as well is providing things like the CP grids. So they've been able to undertake tasks independently at home, as they would going into year one, where they have a little bit more of that free flow. And I know they're doing that project-based learning next year, and all those skills are going to support them in doing that.
Yeah, can you just build on that? Because I know from the live session on Sunday, a lot of parents were talking about independent activities. And from my point of view, the FS children are just so small. How are you guys giving them opportunity to be independent, away from their parents?
So I know in FS2 they're setting lots of writing challenges, and actually it's a really nice time for FS2 children because we are asking them to write independently and for a purpose. And at the moment we've got lots of different purposes that we would never have had before. So the children are writing letters to their teachers, they're writing letters to their friends, they're actually being able to make signs for nurses and doctors to say thank you. So they're putting in everything that's going on at the minute and kind of turning it into a bit of a positive and an opportunity for them to learn.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we forget about you guys down that end of the school. We sometimes think it all looks like play, but obviously I know our FS department at our school is incredible, and the work with continuous provision and the amount of detail that goes into the activities and projects that are planned are just incredible, really. And that's credit to all of your team down that end of the school. But Gemma, it's really nice having you on. I'm not going to keep you too long. I know you're extremely busy. Looking forward to you joining us on Sunday and talking to all the parents. I know a lot of the questions so far were aimed towards your end of the school, so I think everyone will be really excited to have you on there.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to speaking to the parents as well.
Fantastic. We'll see you on Sunday, Gemma. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Gemma. So that was Miss Gemma from Foundation Stage, and she will be with us on Sunday answering your questions about the Foundation Stage and the early years provision at GEMS Metropole during this distance learning provision. So, without further ado, let's transition from Foundation to Year 1, like many of our children will do at the end of this academic year, and hopefully speak to Miss Hannah. Hi Hannah, are you there?
Hello, you all right?
Thanks for coming on the show. I am great, thank you very much. So, end of week 3, how's distant learning going in Year 1?
I'd say the main positives from this week would be how settled the children are. They've adapted so quickly to the online learning, and it's been wonderful seeing how hard they're working at home and how they're getting used to the different challenges that come with doing their learning online. The first couple of weeks we came across some bumps, some challenges, but it was really nice to work with the parents to fix any problems and to change up to make sure we're providing the best education that we can. And the positivity and the support from parents has been so helpful in enabling us to provide the education that we are for the children. So it's been a really good 3 weeks.
That's so great to hear. Remembering that our community, our parents they're working parents, very busy. This distance learning is completely new. And I know when I walk around the school, around Year 1 and observing lessons due to continuous provision and the lessons that you guys plan and put in place and teach, there's a big focus on independent learning. So what are you doing in this distance learning to make sure that independent learning still happening?
Yes, so this week we have really started pushing independence. As a year group, we've been talking about it a lot. With the teachers have been discussing it, because in year one of the main skills we teach is independence, so preparing them for the rest of the years as they grow older. So we are now really pushing that on the online learning. Every lesson, teachers are encouraging the children to be independent. We're saying, right, you can have a go at this task by yourself. And with the live learning now, the children are able to ask the teachers questions if they need support, which is enabling the parents to not have to be next to them as the teachers in there, the live teaching. We've also seen this week a lot more children becoming independent. And where this is working well, the parents are printing out the resources, or they're print screening the resources before the lesson. So then during the live teaching, when the teacher says, okay, you can start your task now, the children can independently get on with it as the activity is already prepared, which means they don't need the adult support at home, as they've got everything they need to get on with the lesson. I know as well, lots of teachers in year one, myself included, in our assembly, we're giving out a certificate to children who have shown that they're being really independent. So we're hoping that this praise and encouragement will get the children to want to have a go by themselves before they ask for additional support.
Yeah, and that social development, that social interaction is so key with the assemblies and the certificates and all those things, promoting the independence. So I know that's something that will be received really, really well by the parents. On that kind of social interaction, we've got in year one, your speaking and listening goals, your collaboration, your social interaction are so key. They're fundamentals at that age, that personal development. So what's happening with distance learning that's making sure that's still happening with you?
Yes, definitely. Communication is up there with independence on the skills that we're teaching and promoting in year one. So the class teachers have been thinking hard and discussing how we can implement that as frequently as possible on the online learning. So we are trying now every day to give opportunities for the children to have a chance to chat with their friends. So in the morning during register time, the video's on so they can see each other, and there's time for them to have a chat then. At the end of the day with the story, after the story's finished, there's time for the children to have a chat. And every week now in year one, in our assembly, we are setting aside 10-15 minutes where we give the children some ideas of things they could talk about, and then they've got the opportunity to chat with their friends. I know I have, and lots of other teachers as well have added a channel to their teams. It might be a wow work or a happiness channel where the children are posting work and sharing things they've been doing, pictures, and they can comment, like, on each other's pictures and messages, which is a nice way for them to keep in contact with each other.
Yeah, and that's so good to hear. I know that communication, that social interaction, having the chance just to chat, like you said, in the channels you set up, or setting a task, or having a piece of work, and getting that feedback and that conversation between the children is key. There's, on their own at the moment, a lot of the children, if you're an only child or you have siblings that you're not interacting with as much, your parents are working, these are key things, and this is why it's so important, and the job you guys are providing at the moment, not only pushing them academically and supporting them with their development goals, it's that personal, social and emotional side to it as well. So absolutely fantastic. Look, Hannah, I know you're really busy and you need to get back to class because you're teaching, but thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, Sunday 3:30, we can't wait to have you with us and speak to the community and answer the questions. So Hannah, thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to it too. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you Sunday.
Okay, bye.
So that was it for our second special guest, Hannah. Thank you both girls for coming on the show. Gemma and Hannah will be with us on Sunday. So that's a reminder, Sunday at 3:30 is the live show that follows this episode. So it'll be myself, Hannah and Gemma that will be on this link on Zoom if my editorial skills are good enough. And we'll be there answering your questions focused on the foundation stage, early years provision, lower key stage 1, and the early years of education at GEMS Metropole. So Without further ado, I hope you have a lovely rest of the week, and we'll see you after the weekend on Sunday at 3:30. Bye for now.